Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the 13th Dimension. Tonight, I will be flying solo because Tim and Crystal are getting everything ready for their daughter's graduation, and Scotty ended up getting called back into work. So there is one announcement that I want to make before we get into things. In Scotty and Tim and Crystal's town of Huntington, they had a death of a young man that rocked the community, Mr. Zach Setzer. And so Things and Pun TV want to wish the family a hello. Okay, let's try this one. Power went out, of course. So I am going to bring on the other guys, Howard and Carl. Let's go ahead and get this started. Hi, guys.
Hi there.
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Yeah. Of course, as soon as this show would start, I would lose power here at the house, knocking my router out, knocking my laptop off.
It happens, brother. It happens.
So you had to recalibrate everything.
Now you're squiggly.
Yeah, I thought we were out of the woods.
Yeah. So, oh boy,
Hey,
this is going to
RJ.
be an interesting show. So, how you guys doing tonight?
We're doing
Oh,
great.
pretty good. I made it here. Everybody else seems to be kind of dark and shadowy, and I'm in this bright panorama of light here on the spectrum. I've got the spotlight trained on me.
Yeah, right.
Actually, you're looking a lot better lighting-wise than what you were before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least for me, you are.
All right. Yeah, I just
That's what it is. Because see, this is a demonology show, okay, and demonologists, and that's why he's having technical difficulties.
that'll do it. Sometimes when people make phone calls or try to internet you and talk about their situation, things go kaflooey. You hear crackling on the phone, and you lose connection, and the Wi-Fi goes out. Strange things do happen.
Yeah, so once my router finally kicks back on, it's going to take probably another 10 minutes before it actually gets online, and then a few minutes after that before my laptop reaches the signal.
But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
We are going to move into the light.
Yeah. So, but hopefully the power will kick back on. It flickered, then it came back on, flickered, came back on, and then finally it just went out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just some bad. Must be something going on in your neck of the woods.
Probably. Well, it would make sense because Scotty, as I was trying to, I don't know where I got froze, but Scotty got called into work just minutes before the show started. He had to call me to let me know what was going on.
Wow.
And there was a tree that got blown down by the wind. Last night we had some major storms come through, and it was still very, very windy today. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that happened over there.
I wonder, there have always been these upheavals in weather. It just seems to have increased. I don't know. I don't remember these terrific windstorms that would suddenly come up. I guess they were happening when I was growing up. I just don't recall them. It just seems we had some rather stable weather for a few years here, mean weather, and then then it started to turn. So I don't know if that's cyclic or what.
No idea. Anything is possible, I think.
Yes.
But I was over at my dad's house for a couple hours ago, and I was looking out the window, and it was really blowing hard. So, all truth and honesty, it shouldn't surprise me that something got blown down.
That's what they call global warming.
Yeah, it's all related. Ralph Nader was right.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
You see that? I don't know.
Yeah. It reminds me of a case I was on where the wind picked up dramatically and right on cue when we were removing an entity, let's say, trying to cast out a demonic spirit. And my strategy was to isolate it from room to room, drive it out of the woman that it was obsessing, and then cast it out into the backyard and command it to leave. Figure if we treat it like a real entity, it's going to behave like one. Mm-hmm. And it did. And actually, this woman is going under possession, demonic possession, which of course can't be is at best poorly understood, if at all. So we did our best to cast that spirit out of her, isolate it, and push it outside as if it was a physical thing. And it behaved like a physical thing. When we got outside, the wind very suddenly and on cue picked up. It was tornadic. It was, just a swirling. I don't know what kind of storm system passed over, but it wasn't rain. It was just wind throwing the leaves off the tree. And their two cats were just racing around us, all the paranormal investigative team racing around us in circles. And the trees were bending over. It was so windy. And we could actually see what looked like creatures climbing in those branches. And I've got people like Mike Ricksecker, who was there, Kathy Nance, people who can verify that. We saw what looked like simian creatures climbing up the trees.
Wow.
But they weren't bending the branches. They were just climbing up and, like things, like squirrel monkeys. And, it's like, I can't think of anything in the state of Oklahoma that constitutes what we're seeing here. They're not raccoons. They're not possums. Opossums. They're not monkeys. I don't know what the neighbors have around here, what the kind of livestock they keep, but these things were climbing up the trees, and they were inhuman things.
Wow.
And I was, of course, I was shocked to see it, but I was also memorizing it. Like, I will always know this is real. I am not hallucinating. We are not imagining it. It's something, and I don't know if it'll come out in any of our pictures, but we're seeing it.
Wow, that'd be awesome if you captured it
with that great wind.
That would be awesome if you can capture it. If you can capture it.
The squigglies look kind of cool. Yeah, that's kind of cool. He looks like a detective, and he's talking to us through the closed blinds. He's in his office. Yeah, I'm coming to you. I don't want to be identified, but yeah.
I think she was talking about the squigglies over Jeremy.
That's just what I mean. He looks like it's through blinds. It looks like he's speaking to us through blinds there.
It's blocking his picture out. You can't see Jeremy, so that's a good thing. You see, that's what it is. He's also known as the Adonis in the pun world, the pun paranormal. See, he is the Adonis. So this is actually giving us more face time, Carl.
Yeah, we can talk amongst ourselves and catch up, because that man behind the blind, I think he has Venetian blinds.
It might end up happening because now that I don't have power in the house, my phone is down to 45%, and I have no way of charging it.
It's been nice talking with you, Jeremy. I know it was brief. I mean, I hope it was as good for you as it was for me. It was brief. It was a flash in the pan, but it's been so good.
Enjoyed the show?
Yeah, so I'm hoping the power comes back on before I lose complete phone power. This is not going to be a good night for me.
It could go either way. Your power could be restored, or it could be restored tomorrow, or like during the night. Sometime.
Well, I'm hoping it's restored before I go to bed tonight because I got to get up at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that would make things easier on you if you get your power back. Hope you have a flashlight or two around so you can navigate around your house.
You can do the old school.
Hey, I'm a paranormal investigator. I got about 30 flashlights in here.
Yeah, you're well stocked for that. Do your own investigation.
Yes, I am.
Well, it is good to see you again, Jeremy. It's been some months. I know.
Yeah, it has. I think we last talked back in March, or I'm not sure, because I remember we had you on the Pitre dish several weeks ago.
March, yes.
And I forgot if Missy Lisa's watching tonight, I forgot your M&Ms. One thing I forgot to pick up, the peanut M&Ms.
Oh, don't worry, Howard. I've got my Slim Jim, so we'll get it.
Well, yes, Elise had other obligations. I understood, she couldn't make it tonight. I did extend your invitation to her, Jeremy and Howard, but I forgot to give her. I gave her M&Ms yesterday, and she was going to town on them, and I poured the rest into a plastic cup, and I forgot to bring them down and give them to her today when I saw her. But I have the M&Ms now. So in the honor of Miss Elise, I must consume these M&Ms and get her more for tomorrow.
That's right. That's right.
Howard, did you hear that?
What?
His voice got distorted, at least on my end.
Did it get distorted?
Yeah, it got really distorted, like a bad staticky sound as you were speaking, Carl.
That happens on the phone when I've been consulted about what people suspect to be a demonic situation. Suddenly it gets crackly, the voices will distort, and it's just coincidental that it happens then, because it doesn't happen any other time.
Yeah,
so because I'm an evil person. I am an evil person. That's what I've been told.
Your evil is exuding over the internet, over social media. Your evil is pervasive now, which is funny because you look cherubic. You look like a cherub guy. You look like.
Oh, I'm a cherub, a little fat guy. I am fat. I'll tell you, I am a fat little guy. I mean, I'll tell you that now. I'm a pusher.
I just meant somebody would buy a used car from you. Yeah.
I'm not that far behind you, Howard. I'm a bit hefty myself, so
I'm about maybe 4 pounds from saying, "Damn."
Actually, I think I'm already past that point.
Are we going to have a weigh-in? I wonder who does carry the most weight literally here, because I'd be a contender. I don't look it. I know I don't.
I'll tell you how much I weigh. I weigh myself every other day. I weigh 251.
All right, I can't approach that. No, I'm sorry.
I'm actually a little bit more than that, Howard.
Wow.
But you're taller, aren't you? You are taller. You are taller.
I'm between 5'10" and 6 foot, depending on which doctor's office I'm at.
I'm 5'11".
Okay, so yeah,
it's all the hair. That's all it is. It's all the hair.
That puts a lot on. That has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Every time I cut this off, it feels like I lose 20, 30 pounds right off the bat.
Well, I'm not so bad. I'm right around 200 and 202, so it's not too bad. Yeah. I mean, it's
Well, you lost a lot of weight.
You guys are bad.
You lost a lot of weight. I've seen before and after pictures after you had the COVID. I mean, you were so thin. I was going to send you a po' boy. I was getting ready to UPS you a po' boy.
Yeah. I put back on. I've reclaimed that weight though.
You have.
I didn't gain it back as quickly as I lost it, but it didn't take long. Took 2 months to put it back on, but it took 7 days to lose. Well, 10 days to lose. I was on this weight loss for 10 days straight. That's why I lost the 56 pounds in 10 days.
Oh, wow.
And that's because I wasn't taking it.
A lot healthier, that's for sure, Bob.
Oh, thank you. I feel so much better, so much better. If whatever aftermath, whatever COVID residue I have, it feels like a pervasive allergy. If you get a spring allergy, that's what it feels like. And I can't tell the difference. But I mean, remarkably better from that post-nasal drip I had.
Yeah, I hate that. That's when the weather changes. You feel it going down the back of your throat, and it makes you want to cough and everything. And it's like,
yeah, you don't want to be around people. You don't want to be in a church service or a funeral or a wedding. Is to be murder, Everybody's going to social distance from you then, yeah. Just like if we say we're demonologists, people get away from us, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
We don't announce it too often.
As everybody knows, I have a couple of shows on the Pun Network, along with Jeremy, and as I've had Carl on our shows in the past before, and Carl is my mentor. He is my he's my God. I mean, the world being according to Carl.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
If I have any problems with him, he's the man. He's the man.
There it is again. There it is again. Getting all staticky right there.
We'll just have to do another show real soon and make up for this, because that can't happen every time. You know, that really does look like Venetian blinds there, doesn't it? You know,
it looks like something.
It's an interrogation room.
It's.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
That was going to say Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
We're the Lollipop Guild. The Lollipop Guild.
The Lollipop Guild. Yeah.
Okay, where's Scotty when we need him? This is where he would be perfect. So Paul, if you don't know who I'm talking about, my co-host, Scott Wilson. He's only
I've heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, he's only 5'1", so we tease him a lot. He teases us back. He's Lollipop Guild. I call him the Leprechaun, and we have a good time.
He doesn't take it personally. None of us can take anything personally. Once you're a paranormal investigator, especially a demonologist, you learn not to take things too personally. Yeah, that's how you introduce yourself.
Yeah, you get called quite a few words.
Yeah. What do you mean you call up demons? Is that what you do? You said you're a demonologist. So you talk to demons. You just said it. No, that's not what I mean. We study them. You study them, talk to them. Isn't it the same thing? Oh, what? And how many sixes does your phone number have it? Oh God, I don't want my daughter around you. I don't want my son. I don't want to be around you.
And that's what I say. I've seen your son and daughter, and trust me, I don't want to be around them.
You know, and I wish I could say I was exaggerating that. A little bit.
And you know that's the thing that a lot of people out there get confused about, because they think that demonology and exorcism are one and the same. And I keep telling them, no, it's not. It is two. They are two completely different things. They tie into each other in a way. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of why I wanted to have you guys on here to try to
dispel some of those myths, clear up the misconceptions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now people have seen the movies, and the fantasy outweighs the reality that's ingrained into people since The Exorcist came out. You know, the possession of Emily Rose. And people have that ingrained. That is now ingrained into Western culture of what demonology is, modern demonology. And you can't really disassociate yourself totally from it as long as we use that term, you know. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't know what else to call it. Influences. More than demons, I say influences. But, you know, okay, I'm an influologist, you know. Okay. You know, it just doesn't have the same impact. Nobody's going to pay attention to that. Oh, I want to see the guy who talks about influences. Yeah, that sounds safe. You know. So, but then you go, it even deepens your voice whenever you say nobody says demonologist. No. Demonologist. Yeah. I am a demonologist. So
yeah, you grow them up. Throw that chest out too. I am a demonologist.
Oh yeah, demonologist. That's our table. We're the demonologist table. You don't take our table away from us.
That's right.
And because of these movies, you know, that's people. As soon as you say demon, people turn around, because that's, you know, the Exorcist was only about 50 years ago, you know, and the other movie's more recent, and so that's our color. And now, just when it seemed to be dying down, what do you got? And then you have ghost hunters coming on television, you know. Then we have The Conjuring.
Yes.
And also the demon craze is back with us.
Yes.
I blocked him out. I'm sorry I did that to your screen, Jeremy. I should lower my voice when I talk to him. I said, The Conjuring. He's gone.
The new Amityville Horror came out a couple of years ago, a few years back.
I have still not seen that one, and I want to see it. I still have not seen that new one, the new Amityville Horror.
That's what the Ryan Reynolds, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. That was disturbing.
That's when you really want to impress a woman and you bring her to the movie. I did that last week.
You brought her to a horror movie, and that impressed her. Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it. Yeah, I done that last week.
But you told me you're a demonologist too,
That's what they like to hear.
Oh yeah, demonologist.
And the thing about all these movies here is that with what we do, we go to the theater and we watch these movies, and they're like, "Yeah, they're doing that wrong. They're doing that wrong. Why can't they get this straight?"
No, they make it bigger than what it is. They make it to where it's more.
They amplify it.
Right. So that it brings in people to come in and actually watch the movie.
Oh yeah, you could have that. And anything that franchise, anything that says The Conjuring, The Conjuring 6, The Conjuring 7, if it says The Conjuring, it's gonna bring people in there.
I tell them to conjure me up something out of the refrigerator and cook it. I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat.
I like that Mid-South and Southwest cuisine. I do. It's tantalizing. It's spicy enough. I like. I don't have that up here very much. Can't find good alligator around here.
I know. You need to come down back. We got to set something up.
I know. I have been down there, of course, in your region. And I was there on filming twice, but it's been a while now since then.
We're talking about the demonology. What you just said, The Conjuring and all. Carl has actually been. He's been in these places. He was actually investigating these places at the time when these things were actually happening. I don't know if Jeremy knew that or not.
I did.
Okay.
In fact, if you remember, doing the after show, Carl explained to me how the whole thing came about.
Yeah. And so he was actually
talking about it as much. The actual origins of that case became known 40 years later as The Conjuring. And I think the real story is just as interesting and fascinating as the movie depiction. How they portray it, rather unrealistically in the movie. I mean, the real story just has as much impact to it. How the Warrens were introduced to that case, what was really happening, how the investigation became an intercession, and I think that's its own story too.
Yeah.
But I'm always happy to talk about it.
Well, you're the man. That's why I say you are the man. I mean, that's why I've admired you ever since. Even before that, I watch you on television shows and stuff like that. I mean, I was always a big fan of yours. Thank
you. I've had fun doing it. I met some interesting people and gone some fascinating places from time to time. And of course, one of them is the house in Harrisville. But and that actually, that was the subject of a television episode of which I was a part with. That we can say the names of the shows, can't we? We can say Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventurers.
Knock yourself out.
Ghost Submariners. Ghost Travelers, whatever. But Ghost Argonauts. But it was an episode of Ghost Adventurers, and I was invited to participate in their investigation. What they were doing, the premise was to recreate the conditions of the original investigation there in 1973. So they called me in on that, and we actually used the older equipment, went old school, like the cassette recorder, and very basic heat sensors and all that. And we got some very interesting results there too. And it was during a thunderstorm. That investigation took place during quite a thunderstorm. So you can see, if you watch that episode of Ghost Adventures, it was their Halloween special of 2019. You see the windows in this old farmhouse lighting up. It wasn't a stage effect. We were in a thunderstorm. Good timing, I thought.
Yeah, it was. It was excellent. I mean, you inspired me so much. You see how you got your cross? Let's see your cross. You just pulled it out.
Yeah. Let me see how you can see it.
Yeah, look.
Oh.
Now I feel left out.
Like yours, yeah.
I wear it all the time, all the time.
I like this. It looks sterling, but it's stainless steel, and it has a genuine onyx stone. Actually, 2 onyx stones, 1 on each side.
That's what I said. You inspired me that much. I mean, that's what.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is no question there, Carl, that you are a very respected person in this field.
Thank you.
When every time I would watch the old shows, the old episodes of Ghost Hunters, I always looked forward to when you and your brother were going to be on there.
Yeah, the twins.
You guys always made it so interesting.
I think it had its own flavor back then. I do. That the people say they miss it. You missed it. You miss how it was. We were more about intervening and helping people back then. I think on more of a ground level. And yeah, the demonologists would be called in when it started to get dark and shady. I think we had a good place in TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society, having a demonology team. Then they all started acting like demonologists, So I left my own accord after a time, but I had a good time with that show for 2 years.
I remember when I used to watch it when you that first couple of seasons, and I mean that's when I would always watch for it.
Yeah.
Where they at? Where the Johnson brothers?
the one thing that really struck a chord with me, I forget where it was at. I knew it was a long drive to this resident's house, but they had something really icky going on. And when they went back to do the reveal, you went with them on the off chance that she wanted to have the house blessed or something removed. And it was a several-hour drive from where you guys were at. So that was something I found really impressive, that you went there just in case she wanted to have that done.
Yes, that's why I was on board for that. Because, you get caught up in the media, it's a product. Ghost Hunters was a product. They had to turn out a show for so many weeks consecutively. And it didn't matter so much, what the ghost was, how genuine it was. They had to put out a show. And but there's also the reality of the persons behind that television show, that there are people who are genuinely seeking help. And sometimes it got a little shady, so a little, dark. So they wanted the demonologist there. And so all our investigators and our cast members were, one and the same, all had a close camaraderie then, which, we got distant after a time with production dominates, but yeah, we better have Carl and Keith in this, because it looks like she's reporting something malevolent. So I think we got Carl here. Is Keith going to be available? So it was like that. And we really felt we had a purpose there. It's a specialist. Now, I define demonology as the systematic study of the lore and cultural traditions of wicked spirits. So it can be a study. There's academic demonology, somebody who just explores it, researches, writes articles. And there's applied demonology, where someone will go out into the trenches, consult or be consulted, and sometimes go to people's residences. So I try to balance both of those so I can stay effective, hopefully. So often people self-diagnose. They say, I have a demon in my house. We haven't evaluated yet, haven't adjudicated that.
Well, I don't know if there are people out there what would be considered, what can something, if there's truly something evil, I was always in the impression that it could be a person or something demonic, a person. It could be a pet, a house. It could be items in your house. Would you agree or disagree with that, Carl?
Well, of course, it's on an individual basis, and the situations vary as much as the people are individuals. Oh, yes, it can be a pet that's affected. Sometimes impressions are received through an object. I don't know how that works. It's called psychometry, when somebody interprets events surrounding an object through that object. as emanations or something. Generally, it's produced by people, but I found it interesting how pets can be reactive to some force in the house. They shouldn't be, because they don't have the intellects we have. They don't understand our concepts of good and evil, but they watch things and they notice things and they shrink back, especially dogs and cats react to these.
Just more a reaction more than becoming possessed by something.
Sometimes they act as if they're possessed for limited periods, but they're afraid of something.
Right.
They dream, they respond to mice in the walls, and they're going to follow that. But it's uncanny the way sometimes I've seen a feline, a cat, watch something that's not there go up the stairs. Will go over to the stairwell and,
Right.
Now the cats aren't afraid of rats and mice, but they're afraid of something and they shrink back from something, and they'll look at the stairwell, for instance, or see something as if they're watching something go through the. What are they seeing? Right. When they follow something with apprehension and fear, the animals react to something because they're not told they can't see it. Right. They don't question that. Nobody's going to tell them they're delusional or you're hallucinating. They just, if they see something and sense something, they react.
Yeah, right. Tell them that that's a bad mushroom or something. No, that's the night before.
Now, didn't you say in one of the previous interviews that if there's a real demonic case, that animals tend to get killed?
I've seen that happen. It's one of those things that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be allowed. Demonic entities shouldn't have the capacity to do that. But sometimes they'll generate such an influence that pets start to die, sometimes in rapid and alarming succession. And they will, pets are affected. I don't know how I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen with birds. Yeah. And I've heard about it happening with horses, larger animals. Sometimes the animals will sicken and expire in a certain environment. You take them out of it. Now, then you wonder, is there something in the atmosphere there? Is there some radon or something influencing the smaller animals? You don't know, but they seem to react emotionally in certain environments. I was on a situation in Coventry, Rhode Island, going back, I guess this year makes 13 years. There were two lovebirds. The homeowner she had some exotic birds. One of our team members used to keep exotic birds. She knew how to care for them. The cage where these lovebirds were kept was pretty dirty. And so our investigator, Laura, was cleaning the cage for the homeowner. She just took to cleaning the cage. And she talked to the two lovebirds. They were chirping to her. And she said, "How you doing, babies?" Well, we were recording everything, and audio recorders we walked around with. And well, when we played back that audio recording, I'm the first one to hear this. We hear Laura say, I remember her scraping the cage with her fingernails. She was saying, "How you doing, babies?" And you hear this female voice come out as an EVP. It says, "Dying." Just hear this strange, extraneous woman's voice. "How you doing, babies?" It says, "Dying." Wow. We didn't hear it at the time, but the recorder picked it up.
Right.
Within 2 weeks, both of those birds were dead. I think it was like 8 days. They were both 8 or 9 days. Both of those birds had died.
Wow.
And the spirit said dying. Another thing, the male voice in there who manifested as an EVP also was seen there. I hear this male voice, we had the house to ourselves investigating, and I advised her, ask if it misses the lady. Her name is Tina. Ask if it misses Tina. They were out and they took the kids away for the night, and ask if this thing misses Tina. And so lead investigator, Dawn, she said, "Do you like Tina? Do you want Tina home?" As we didn't hear any reply at the time, I went back and I'm listening to 90 minutes of audio tape, and I'm about ready to give up on it. And towards the end of the recording, you hear Dawn ask, "Do you like Tina? Do you want Tina home?" And you hear the sonorous tone, this male voice says, "Oh yeah, I'd like to boil Tina." Oh. Now, so help me, we did not hear that at the time. I said, I recorded this, so I know it's genuine. Now, can you imagine when we sat down with the homeowner, the lady of the house, and played that recording on a laptop as the reveal? So we have something for you. If you want, you wonder what kind of haunting you have, listen to this. This thing had personality. Well, it was a male and a female voice that would manifest. I said, oh, yeah, I'd like to boil Tina.
Wow.
Now, it's the property of the investigator, the chief investigator, so I don't have that recording, but I know someone who does. So maybe sometime I'll be able to play that for you. Sometimes you hit pay dirt with these things, with these investigations. Sometimes you get something grand. It's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of listening to audio recording. There's, looking at video footage and waiting it out. But sometimes you get gold. You hit like that. I'll always remember that. And that was a virulent haunt. That was a poltergeist situation. Even though it vocalized, there was crockery flying around the house. I know, Howard and Jeremy, what I often hear is, clients, people we go to assist, or if we go to the home, they say, oh, my cross was pulled off before my crucifix came off. Or, all hell broke loose after you guys left. Well, this phenomena was manifesting while we were there. We were seeing plates fly around, things breaking. It was a true poltergeist situation. If you've never been fortunate enough to see a poltergeist in action, I hope you do someday. If you need a religion, you'll get one.
Fast.
They're very startling. See a poltergeist, because you don't know what's going to happen moment to moment with a poltergeist. It's German for noisy ghost, rattling spirit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on being able to experience all kinds of different things. Like, just once, I'm going to be honest, people are going to think I'm crazily, even reckless, but
then you're in the right place.
I actually want to be able to experience demonic activity so that I know what to look for. I know what signs to look for in case if I were to run into something like that again later on in the future, I can be able to identify that and help my teammates and help everybody be protected for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's something characteristic about a demonic haunt that is very hard to define. There are sometimes overt signs to look for. See if one of the family members seems oppressed, kind of getting withdrawn. Is there a foul odor that you can't explain? Comes on, goes away. Or smell a scent of roses. They call that the odor of sanctity. Strange things like that, but something that's hard to define is that feeling that something's wrong. You're just like, I am being watched. I don't feel right here. I wasn't feeling that 10 minutes ago, but now I feel pressed. It feels like the atmospheric pressure is dense, and you just want to leave the place. It's like something negative. It's like an evil person came into the room and you sense that person. Something malevolent. That's very hard to describe in words, but you know it when it happens. That's a sign of demonic presence, demonic activity. By gum, I'm going to finish these M&Ms,
I see that.
Well, this is in honor of somebody who's not here right now.
That's right. Now, my biggest thing, and
well, I still got one Slim Jim left. I've already eaten the first one.
My biggest thing is dolls and possessed dolls.
Oh yeah, you don't like them dolls.
I hate them freaking dolls. I hate it. And a clown, I hate a clown. Even a clown doll is like the ultimate. So I won't deal with it.
That's the worst of both worlds, huh?
That's right. But I mean, to
Jeff
me,
Neal says, "Damn demon dogs."
Yeah, my screen is going all wonky, so I'm trying to get everything back to what it was, and I ended up highlighting that comment.
But I mean, isn't it like with the porcelain dolls, especially older ones, and they look so human-like, and it's easier for these things to actually take possession of something like that. And for me, from what I've read and seen, it's easy for like young. I mean, it's not just girls, but boys older women collect dolls and things of that nature. So it's easy for them to have a connection with something like that. That way you're bringing it into your home or whatever, or you're touching it and you correct, whatever they do with dolls or whatever. I'm just saying. But it's easier for that, whatever's possessing it, to actually possess that person.
Well, there's a structure. It's a very famous stop in Rhode Island, the state in which I live, Sprague Mansion, named for Governor Sprague.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing about that one.
Yeah. He was governor in 1841, 1842. He was murdered, Amasa Sprague. It is a haunted mansion, but of course it's just as fascinating for the history. And there is one room called the doll room. It is strewn with layers of porcelain dolls. Now, these are the 19th century, early 20th. A lot of dolls from the 1910s and 1920s when they made them real looking, But it's disturbing because they're not so much like babies. They're miniature people, like little girls. But and Howard, if you were there,
I'd burn that place down. If I was
I'd just like to show you, now, Howard, close your eyes.
I'm gonna close my eyes.
Turn 15 degrees to your right. Now open them, and then there you are in the doll room.
Oh Lord, no. Now you got me.
I wouldn't do that myself.
You got me wanting to burn down that half of the house now.
There's an old saying that Elise likes to use.
With dolls and clowns.
You know what they say? Payback's a bitch. So I wouldn't.
Yes, it is.
I wouldn't perpetrate that upon you, Howard.
Mm-mm.
This is for you.
That's good. I don't know. I see blind, so it's all good. It's hot. It's hid by.
He's trying to scare you with something, but another influence is diverting that because you can't.
That's right. That's right. Something's protecting me.
Whatever it is he's using to distract you could not be seen.
No.
We are getting a tour of Jeremy's house, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I am getting ready to walk across the street with this show because I am already down to 20%. So that tells me I'm not going to last another hour.
Where you can find Wi-Fi?
So I'm going to walk across the street to my dad's house because they are on a separate power line on that side than where I'm at.
Okay.
So when my power goes out, his is still on, and vice versa.
That'll work. It's worth it to get what we can out of the show.
So I'm going to go in there, hide in his office until this show is over.
Notice Jeremy has been driven out of his house because of the show we're doing.
I have been driven out of the house. That is absolutely right.
Ah.
Damn you, Satan. Damn you.
Be gone. Wow. Now, I wanted to ask Howard, why do you have the title of the 13th Dimension? I mean, what's the...
This is not me. This is not me. This is Jeremy's show.
This is Jeremy's show. So Jeremy devised the title.
Yes, sir.
So the 13th Dimension, I actually came up with that name and just threw it into a list of names that Scotty and I were going to go through. And I was going back to the Twilight Zone, where in the beginning it said there's a fifth dimension or a sixth dimension. And I got to thinking, well, what if there was a 13th dimension? So I just wrote that down, threw it in the list of titles that we had, and
they picked it out of a hat, and that's the one that stuck.
Scott picked it out, and we just went with it.
That's what I'd like to do.
That's interesting.
Pick it up.
There was a 13th dimension.
So it's like the name was just tailor-made for us.
It sounds like it could be a novel, a horror, Our novel, 13th dimension.
Power's out, and my phone is dying. Yeah. Hi, there you go. Hey, everybody. Here's my daughter.
Somebody's asking, why is 13 so bad?
So there are reasons for that.
No,
There's
no,
the
no, 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 no.
That's more like
triskaidekaphobia.
yeah.
Elise and I did a show on that last
You're
year.
gonna
In
hide in
fact,
your
the
office.
Heartside House in Lincoln, Rhode Island. There are several reasons why it's thought to be, it's an uneven number. It defies the multiplication of 3 and 4. You got this perfect system of 4, 4, 4, and multiples thereof. Now all of a sudden you got like 3 4s, and then you got this odd 13. There were 12 apostles. So that's a sacred number. I mean, you wouldn't define Jesus as an apostle. So, there are 12 apostles. There are a baker's dozen. Yes, the Trinity was thought to be perfect and sound because you can multiply it. And people have always been all about numbers. A dozen, they would sell bread by the dozen, and or slices of bread by the dozen, and sometimes a baker or peddler would be dishonest and not put all 12 pieces of bread in the basket, and that was treated in France, especially. That was considered such a crime that the baker who shorted one of his customers could lose a hand, have a hand amputated from that. And so bakers, to make sure they were doing right by their customers, would put in 13 loaves of bread or 13 slices of bread.
Make sure,
so that's another connotation. And it just seems to have popped up all through history. There was a club in the 19th century, the 13th Club, and they would do everything by 13, and they never suffered any mishaps for it.
Well, you got to watch tomorrow night. We're having a live tomorrow night.
Oh,
Carl. We're doing a voodoo shop.
Voodoo shop.
Yes. In New Orleans, it's Voodoo Authentica, and we're doing a live investigation of that place.
Wow.
So yeah, all the people that work there and own it are voodoo priests and priestesses. And the place has got some activity happening there. So we'll be doing that live tomorrow night on Pun.
Oh, voodoo's always intrigued me. Just the whole mystique about voodoo and its origins. And hoodoo. The way these faiths come from. And Santeria.
Mm-hmm.
It's mingling old world with new. Western continent with Eastern continent. The Africans came over, many from Sierra Leone, and during the slave trade, they were brought to this continent, this side of the world, this hemisphere, and they brought their faith with them. Now, their masters and then later employers did not want them to be practicing these pagan beliefs that they brought over, forcibly brought over here. So the religions, the practices couldn't be outright extinguished. They could be given a different nomenclature. The spirits became saints.
Mm-hmm.
So they kept their old practices, but they dressed it like in Christian window dressing.
Right.
The saints in the prayer book, and they would take on different attributes of the African gods, and especially in Haiti and the island system there, that was proliferate. And so you're looking at magic rituals, but they're calling upon the names of saints, and they're therefore Santeria.
Mm-hmm.
So you get an amalgamation of the African beliefs and practices, which are just magical and wonderful. And then they're constrained to put them as Catholicism, or veneer of Catholicism, Christian Catholicism. And so you have something unique, an amalgamation. You have a whole new product, if you will, and it makes its own religion, its own voodoo system. And there's power in that. There's power in something new that brings old world and new world together. So it's always fascinated me. I even find something soothing about it. Yeah.
There's good and evil in that too. I mean, it's just a lot of good and evil, and it's no gray areas in that.
Right.
You know, it's concise. I mean, from what I've seen of it, I mean, the artwork alone, it's beautiful. I mean, I got to give them that. I forgot the name of it, but it's the drawings that they do during these rituals and things like that. They take so long to do it. Usually, from my understanding, it's made out of cornmeal or something that's, you know, I guess it's something that they would have in the house at the time.
Yeah.
So they were able to use like cornmeal and stuff like that in these plantation times and stuff like that when it came. So they would do all that stuff like that. But there's a lot of things that can happen with it, which I don't understand, which is the threefold type thing. If you wish good upon them, good will come upon you. But if you wish negativity, that whatever goes to them comes back to you 3 or 4 times fold, and that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's like the conjuring of zombies and things like, which is there is a zombie dust that they actually make, and it's I guess it's illegal, but it's made from the blowfish.
Oh, yes, which are poisonous. They exude a stinging poison.
Right, and they use that for creating these zombie-like.
That can make a zombie. Yes, that's one of the ingredients in the zombie elixir. Wow.
But I've never heard of something that was actually demonic yet in a zombie religion that would show something demonic, you know, something come out to you as evil or demonic. So I haven't seen that yet, but I'm not to say there isn't anything like that, or if there's any cases like that yet.
You know, there's a grim reality to many of these things, like zombies, like voodoo. You know, there's a reality behind the fantasy to these. Zombies were made. The story was that they would put the victim, into a drug-induced trance, simulating death. The person would actually be buried for perhaps a day. Then they would be exhumed that night, and they became slaves. They became the zombies. And it's fascinating to think that there's a reality to that. How it worked, I don't know. But there was one gentleman who talked of his life as a zombie. He had been resurrected, he was never clinically dead, but his mind was altered and by the drug. And,
I guess they would have to keep feeding him the drug to keep him in that zombie state.
Well, I'm sure they did, to keep him a slave that way. And of course, the person believed they were zombified and brought up in that culture, so that's how they behaved, and they were controlled. So there were real zombies in that sense. They went through their own spiritual death and then were resurrected to be enslaved.
But I've never heard anything demonic coming out of something from the zombie. I mean, from the voodoo practice. That's what I don't. I mean, they have all these gods and
to them they're not demons, though. To a Christian observer, they would be demons.
Right.
I don't see them as that. I see them as a different culture. But of course, they're messing with calling up spirits, so they got to be demonic, right?
Right.
Especially by.
I guess in Catholicism and things like that, we would call it demonic or
right. Then you would.
But
guess what I'm doing? I'm placing a call to my brother, who is also a demonologist. I don't know if I'll get him, and I don't know if I can put him on speaker. I may not be able to rouse him. He doesn't expect my call here.
That's when you send him a text. Answer your phone. No.
I probably will have to, because
I would also love to have him on this show.
Yeah, I was hoping to have him maybe do a little impromptu guest spot, but he didn't pick up. So I didn't tell him I was going to call either. He was texting me earlier.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Have both of y'all on here.
Mm.
Not as great as you on there, though, Carl.
Great one. Thank you.
Now, don't start that.
Rich in years. Well, my recent experiences, a week ago to the hour, I was with the lovely Miss Elise at the Captain Grant's Inn in Preston, Connecticut. And I was invited to basically be the entertainment. You know, it's a haunted inn with quite the reputation. We tried to speak to Captain Grant, who historically, he wasn't lost at sea, but he died at sea, and he lashed himself to the ship's wheel during a storm. So his body was recovered, but he, you know, lost his life. And we wonder if he ever got home or knew he was coming home. So we commenced by calling on Captain Grant to come home to his mansion, his seaside mansion. It's not actually next to the sea, but it, you know, but that's where he had lived, had the house built. And so what I did was people wanted a seance. It was advertised as there will be a seance performed, therefore called Carl, because supposedly I'm some expert in seances. Well, I've conducted a few, so, and had done so successfully like a year and a half before. When I say successful, I mean we got activity. That's a successful seance if something happens. So we had limited time, and I did conducted two seances back to back. Mind you, I have an idea of what I'm going to do, but I'm saying I don't know. How can I know if anything will be active? I don't want everybody to be disappointed, but that's the nature of talking to spirits. They don't show up on command. So what I did was I turned it into a hypnotic session and employed hypnotism.
There you go.
I did. Well, that happened kind of incidentally with the first one. You know, I have this voice when I'm speaking, and, you know, so
it's very relaxing. It's very relaxing.
We are calling, reaching to beyond. I want us to descend, you know, into the darkness, and, you know, we seek the peace, though, but we're looking beyond. And what I did was I put a lady into a hypnotic trance, and she was rigid. And I knew the signs of hypnotism because I've done this before. And so I went like this, and her arms dropped in unison with mine. So I knew she was hypnotized. And what she felt, she was speaking to her. I said, "Look, who's talking to you?" She felt her father. And of course, I can't know if she, you know, it was her father. And then I did that. I started off with it, you know, just went straight into hypnotism for the second seance, and it was actually it was quite good, you know, because these two subjects were behaving like hypnotized subjects, and Elise was quite impressed with that. You know, so I figured we're here to be they're here to be entertained. We're going to get something. Let's make it a kind of hypnotherapy. Let's just see what we can do with this. Because, you know, basically we're there to have fun, not really be frivolous, but we're there for an enjoyable experience. So we had a lesson in hypnosis. Yeah. I mean, I won't get into just how I hypnotize the people, but I knew my voice was a key component. And, it was good. And because we were in a spooky atmosphere, it was growing dark outside. The moon was rising outside, and you know, I said, this is a spooky atmosphere. We're going to have a good time with that. And we did. It was just a nice evening, all in all. If you're with the right people, you'll have a good paranormal experience, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Usually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even something like a seance, I mean, it was genuine. There were no strings pulled or anything. This was two genuine seances. So I said, we'll see what we get. And I started off by saying there's no guarantee we'll get anything paranormal, but we're going to have a good experience. We're going to have fun trying. And yeah, we did. We got things. Dramatic drop in the temperature in the room, and
wow,
people feeling that we felt other beings were coming into the room. Now, I don't get too haphazard with it. I don't say, whoever wants to speak to us, come on in. We're ready for you. It's more like, you know, who's receptive, who's going to experience something, you know. And it was just, it was a little scary too. That's what they want. Because we're in Captain Grant's Inn, and it's, you know, a darkened room. we're in the billiards room, and yeah.
Speaking about
I
scary,
actually went through something similar to that where they tried to start doing a little bit of provoking almost immediately. I didn't do that. Nothing was going to happen because they were doing that.
You experienced that, Jeremy, where people were provoking?
Yeah. It was a little over a year ago, actually. And I had met up with a couple of people from different teams. It was our first time meeting. And what they were doing is they were using a Ouija board.
Oh, wow.
But they weren't using that, whatever you call it. The
Planchette?
Yeah, the planchette.
In the middle?
Yeah, so they ended up leaving that one off. What they did was they spread some ashes on the board. Then one of the guys pricked his fingers and put little blood drops in different places on the board, and they put the spirit box right on the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird. And not 30 seconds into their EVP session, they said, "Come on, touch me, do something." This is ridiculous.
Well, they're desperate for results. They want something. They don't care what, how haphazard it is. They want something like, we're going to experience the paranormal. We don't care how we get there. We're going to do something.
Yeah, but they're going to bring something in they don't want to bring in.
That almost sounds like a satanic ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Anything just to get an experience. Well, people who are interested in the paranormal, generally they want a transcendental experience. You want to look into another reality. But that's like trying to take a shortcut. For me, provocation either has no results, like if you go and start yelling at a spirit, "Come on, you torment a little girl, why don't you take me out?" Usually nothing happens. But you could get very chaotic results too with that approach. My brother employs.
Luckily, this time around, nothing ever did happen.
Usually it won't when you come on assaultive like that.
Yeah.
I think the people doing it they expect nothing will happen, so they're really trying to get something through any means. When my brother employs provocation, he'll use religious provocation, but that's only to test it. He did that in the Conjuring House the first time we were there, that house in Harrisville, Rhode Island. By provocation, I mean he recited a biblical psalm and said the name of Jesus. When he said Jesus, a window that was jammed open, I couldn't shut it. Strange, in that bedroom, one of the girls' bedrooms, it was August in 1973. It was August. The rest of the house, the farmhouse, was sweltering, but that room was like a chill box. But we couldn't shut that one window. Roger Perrin, on the house, he said, "I can't get that closed. Don't know what keeps it jammed open. Doesn't know why the room is cold." Well, my brother recited that biblical psalm. I think it was even the 23rd psalm he's recited. And he spoke the name of Jesus. Boom, that window slammed shut.
Oh.
Maybe coincidence, but it was sure good timing. Because boom, right there when he said Jesus. And if that was a coincidence, good, I'll roll with it. That's such a grand coincidence. I'm just going to accept it as part of the investigation because we never really know.
True.
Just that window slammed shut right then.
I mean, if I would have seen that, Carl, a little trickle of pee would have came out of me. I'm going to be honest with you, because that was.
Oh no, I didn't mean that. Yeah,
it would be eerie. It would be freaky, no doubt about that.
Well, of course, we're in that atmosphere. It's one thing to talk about it, but imagine us there. It was. I was probably almost. It was probably 7:45, around 7:45 p.m. Just dust settling in because it's August, and we're already feeling creeped out because I had seen a blackness up there. I was all by myself, but I saw this black. Other people have seen it since. Other people still see that blackness in the house. I say blackness; it's more like the absence of light. When I first saw it billowing down a hallway, I thought my first thought was the house is on fire. I'm waiting to smell smoke. It had an opacity to it. That's how definite it was. I thought it was smoke going down the hallway. So other people still report seeing that. If that's a natural phenomenon, I can't explain what that is. So I saw that. I guess I was the first one to report that in the house. So we went up there. I'd gone back downstairs. Then we went back up there. And that's where that room was. It was jammed open, that window. I put my weight into it. I couldn't close it. I didn't want to break it, but I was pushing on it. Okay, my brother recites the psalm. Imagine us being there. It's getting dark, or like the sun is set, and we're already feeling a little creepy there. And the house has a haunted reputation. The homeowners have brought us there, and my brother recites that psalm. Now it was kind of jarring that my brother was speaking holy words, in this house which was darkening and and haunted. And there he's reciting this prayer. So, oh, gee, you sure you want to do this? And then boom. Window slammed shut, and we're like, that was dramatic as heck at the time. I said, we've hit pay dirt here. My brother went back there after that original investigation, as of course we were responsible for bringing the Warrens there, which started that whole franchise 40 years later. And my brother went back there. I think it was 2006 he went back there, and I was a member of his team then, near New England Anomalies Research. My brother went back there, and he had us recorded. It was then owned by Norma Sutcliffe, the successive owner of that house after the parents. And Norma was saying, oh, yeah, we know the ghosts are here. They don't like it when we leave, when Jerry and I leave on a trip, that we find the books scattered and all that, but they don't really bother us. So my brother had his old faithful cassette recorder, and he's walking up the stairs, and this is the 2006 investigation with Near. My brother's walking up the stairs. He's recording. We played back the recording. You hear, this voice. It's neither male nor female, but this disembodied voice was imprinted. It says, we're still here.
They were waiting for him to come back.
We're still here. And then one of our investigators was downstairs, and Norma, the homeowner, is very gracious to us. She said, where's your other guy? I said, oh, Russ, he's down in the basement relieving himself. I was kidding. And you play it back, and you hear, wise guy Carl saying, he's down in the basement relieving himself. And this voice comes out and goes, a different voice, kind of sounded male. It goes, don't lie. It's responsive. These, I don't know what they are. Ghosts, spirits, demons, whatever.
It was intelligent, that's for sure.
It's intelligent. It's responsive. It's interactive. They're amused by us, these spirits or whatever, and they're commenting on what we're saying. Now, I was trained as a paranormal investigator and going to many classes on this. The categories. You got atmospheric residual, which is just a playback out of time. Probably the most commonly experienced type of spirit manifestation. You got the residual haunt. You got the intelligent haunt that will speak to you, and usually just in a recording. Sometimes you're in AVP, you'll hear the voice. You've got poltergeist that throws things around, and you've got demonic. And never the four shall meet. And yet, with experience, I'm realizing that they're all pretty much related. They even seem to be the same thing. The rudiment, the substrate of all this is poltergeist. The other manifestations spring from that. I define a poltergeist. I define a demon as a poltergeist with a poor attitude. And
we lost Jeremy again. There he
came back right away.
Hello.
So it's funny how you can,
You see me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
I mean, whatever one's religious faith or whatever their experiences with the paranormal, isn't it marvelous that something that lacks a body and a brain and a glottis, something that's not physical, is speaking to us. It's like another form of life. It's intelligent. I mean, don't expect really intelligent answers, but it's going to, at least sometimes they respond to us. Like that house in Coventry, Rhode Island. We asked a question. Under my advisement, Dawn, who was directing the investigation, I said, ask if it misses Tina. Do you like Tina? Do you want Tina home? And the voice says, it's malevolent. It's mischievous. It goes, oh, yeah, I'd like to boil Tina. You guys got personality. And that female spirit voice, that sounded like female. Laura asked, how you doing, babies, to the lovebirds, and within 2 weeks they're both gone. How does the spirit know this? I mean, what's going on? There's more to this world than we can. There are more things dreamt of in heaven and earth, and There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy, as Shakespeare said. No? It's wonderful. That's what keeps us interested in demonology and in paranormal investigation in general.
Yeah.
You're proving every time you get results, there's something else out there. There's more than meets the eye.
You're right. Speaking about more than meets the eye, you went on some on some of your exorcisms and some of your possessions or demonic possessions.
Yes, there have been some.
There's one we talked about. We brought on one of the shows before, and it was a gentleman. You can't, of course, release his name or nothing like that, but we do have photos of that gentleman actually being possessed, and the way he looked, it was no possible way that I can see anybody that can actually do the way this picture looks, with his jaw being dislocated. And it looks like, it almost looks like a serpent when they dislocate their jaw.
That picture is truly disturbing. It's horrific.
It is.
You know?
It is truly disturbing. And
I still get the willies when I look at that. You know why? Because I know it's genuine. It's not fake.
I sent that one to Jeremy, and I sent those other ones we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Well, see Jeremy again, yeah.
I mean, Jeremy's...
Well, the thing is, I downloaded those pictures on my laptop.
Okay.
Right.
And with my phone, I'm not really sure how to do that with my phone to show anything, and I don't really want to try it for fear that I'll end this session.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye.
Yeah. So, I want so bad, especially that picture, and some of the other pictures that you sent me. I really want to share them, but I don't know how on the phone.
You don't want to end the broadcast.
Yeah, I don't want to end the broadcast. I don't want to make a mistake. Right now, everything is fine the way it is, and I don't want to touch it.
It is fine because we can't see you.
Yeah, that's.
We can't.
I'm afraid you're distorted again, Jeremy.
No, you're behind the blinds again.
Yeah, it's that blinds effect. Well.
There you are.
Now you're back. You're on and off now. Were you able to do anything with those, the new pictures I sent you? I call it what Howard was describing was the red demon, demon face. I sent you the green demon face too, Jeremy and Howard.
Yeah, he sent that to me as well.
If nothing else, perhaps you could send those, or let me know if you're able to get them on screen and send them to my email or to my Facebook, if you can do that, because I don't have a USB cord connector at present, so you could try it, or I could have the more capable Elise try to upload those, and so I'll have them to show. But
it would have been on here, but he's on his phone, so
Jeremy can send those to me, or Howard can send them to me.
Yeah,
if I get them captured in a message on Facebook or an email, then I'll have the image uploaded and I'll be able to do more with it. Wow. But if you can, and kudos to you, Jeremy, if you try, and that blows us all away. It's like trying some bizarre quantum experiment. Is this going to undo our reality if we succeed?
Almost like meeting yourself from a different time, and it blows up the entire universe.
Yeah, like matter and antimatter. We annihilate each other and the universe with it. Now, Jeremy, we might annihilate our own interpretation of the universe, and we're gone. The rest of it goes on. Oh.
Okay, well,
Jeremy,
I know I can get into Messenger without messing with this thing, so I'll be able to forward this on to you.
Yeah, no hurry on that.
Because I had to have Sydney send a message to somebody for me, somebody that was asking a question about me, and I don't even know how to make a comment in this chat. So
I'm like you. Sometimes when I've got a chat room going in a show, I hardly dare to get into it. I hardly dare to project it so the viewers can see it because I'm afraid I might wipe it out. Now, Jeremy, if you disconnect, does that mean we all disconnect? Does that mean Howard and I go too? Or is it just you that would evaporate. Notice he's
Oh, no.
frozen now.
Yeah, he froze now.
Yeah.
He's done that before. He was doing that before.
I noticed that he was like, I went to get a water, and I came back and he was frozen there.
He's like,
I have a feeling that Jeremy is he's just looking at us. Unless what we're saying is so darn interesting that he just doesn't have anything to say.
oh, he's just a loss for words.
Yeah. Well,
We carry on.
oh,
But,
Jeremy sent a photo to me. I'll have to check that out. So I take it that Jeremy has all this power to experiment, and suddenly we might be gone. I'm like, hello, what's going on here?
It's because he looks like the Adonis. He's got all that long, luxurious, like a hair of mane, like on a lion.
Yeah. I think if I grew my hair out like that, it'd just be all stringy and everything. I used to have long hair like that.
I know. I've seen those pictures. Yeah, I sure have.
You know what? I'll tell you what's happened. Jeremy has sacrificed himself, not us, but to send me these pictures. Jeremy has stopped his own audiovisual and is just frozen there. So we're seeing a self-sacrificial person frozen in that moment. You know,
that's very noble of him.
He's gone now. He's gone.
Yeah, he might be.
He did this for us, Howard.
Well, that's good.
I assume we're still broadcasting. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're broadcasting.
Well, then Jeremy took himself out.
We'll just do it without him. Heck, I mean, I'm the 13th dimension now. I feel sorry for things now.
Yeah. Excuse me. Hi, Dame Maureen. I'm okay, but right now I am on a radio show, a Skype show. It's actually through StreamYard, and so I'm in the middle of an interview. But yeah, okay, but you know, we're very easygoing. They know I have friends and dear friends. Okay, well, I'll speak to you maybe later tonight. We're about halfway through the show, maybe a little more. We're having a good time, but I'll be back to you. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. He's back. We was doing a show without you.
But Jeremy, you took yourself out for that
Okay,
experiment.
all I could hear were garbled voices, but Carl, I ended up sending a whole bunch of pictures to you.
Okay. I could sacrifice myself and try to send them back, in that message. But thank you. That could be very helpful for future endeavors, especially if I lecture and show them, because you got the green demon face.
Yeah.
Howard is sending some pictures of his home.
Carl was actually talking on the phone. He was making a few calls while you froze up. I was doing my toenails.
I received a call.
I was trimming my toenails,
Yeah.
And Irene Takoro says they say that the suicide forest and Mount Fuji are related for the unknown and crazy stuff that happens because there are 4 lakes surrounding the area. Now, I know the suicide.
I know what
forest.
she's saying. Yeah.
I mean, to me, that would be an evil place.
Suicide Forest, that is like right at the foot of the mountain, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe that's.
I believe so. It's before you ascend there.
Yeah.
People go there to end their lives.
Yeah. But why would you go there to end your life? I mean, to me, that would be a place where a lot of negativity would be. Sorrow, negativity. That's the perfect breeding ground for something like that could happen.
It probably is.
When you think
I
about it,
imagine that forest would probably be riddled with elementals too.
I mean, there's still bodies, and they never did retrieve out of that place. I mean, from my understanding.
I remember hearing something about that.
But that would be something interesting to look into.
Yeah, I definitely want to cover Suicide Forest at some point on this show. Maybe even have Irene as a guest, and she can tell us all about it.
Have you seen pictures, Jeremy, of Suicide Mountain? I mean, they're like some of the people of the remnants they found there, like old tents. There's one that shows trousers and sneakers, like hiking shoes, and it has skeletal leg going into a skeletal foot. That's
wow.
To me, that's a very disturbing image. Somebody just went out there.
I remember seeing some pictures inside the forest, and they showed some of the accessories, but I don't remember being anything specific. Nothing that really stood out to me.
Yeah, that was one of the worst ones. That was probably the worst photograph I saw of that place. And like you pointed out, Howard, why would somebody? What a depressing way. I don't know if there's a good way.
No.
If somebody enters a state of despair, is there a good way to end their lives? You know.
Yeah, I think it would be a perfect place for something demonic or demons or something to
one
stay.
would have to think so. You got to get a feeling there. If you're at all sensitive to your surroundings, there has to be something there that people feel, and maybe it calls them. Maybe it calls people in. Scott
stopped in to say hi. He's getting ready to start cutting on the second tree already.
I see a message right now that says that the second tree is done.
Oh, there he is. Now he just came up.
Yeah,
the second tree's done.
That second tree must not have been bad at all.
Well, he's a fast little guy. I mean, he gets in there, he weaves in and out. He's done quick. He's quick. That's why he's got that high. That's why they call him up. Come do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like
it's interesting that we're talking about Suicide Forest, because a month from now, our last show of the season, we are actually going to be talking about suicide awareness on this show. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I know they got a trail when you walk into the Suicide Forest, but there's also, they take, from my understanding, they take string or rope with them or whatever, and they walk off and they let that rope follow behind them, and they go do the deed that they're going to do. And in order for that rope and string that was there, that way when people walk in there to see if there's anyone who committed suicide or whatever, they will actually be able to find them. They just follow that string line or whatever.
Wow. That's all very disturbing to think about, yeah.
But I'm just thinking, that's my biggest thing is there, from all that disparity, all that sorrow, all that loss of life, wouldn't that be the perfect breeding ground for something demonic?
One would think so, because you have such negative, like, anti-life or cessation of life association there. Psychic people, sensitive people can pick up on what's imprinted in their surroundings. So some people would have to just freak out being there, I would think. But I wonder if it's so associated with death and resignation, if it's created something like a battery that actually influences people to come there, like an elephant graveyard. You know, like the elephants will go and die in a specific area. Are people, does it call to their despair and bring them there? I don't know if that can happen, but it's a premise. You know, I wish it would stop. I mean, if people have a right to decide how they're going to end their lives will end, but kind of wish they wouldn't go there and do that.
Right.
I just wonder how that ever got started over there.
I don't know how that had its origins.
Well, Irene says over in Japan that suicide is prevented in their country.
Prevented?
Permitted.
Oh, permitted.
Permitted in their country.
So maybe there's a certain dignity to it that they go there and decide to die there.
We had the kamikazes and all that. It was as an honor, I guess, if you do it in a certain way, but in their religion or whatever. Well, anyway, Carl, what about, we were talking about this earlier. You are about ready to do, you've already done one recently, or you're about ready to do an exorcism? I'll go see if something is possible.
Yes, actually. And of course, there's only so much I can discuss it because it's somebody else's situation, and because it's, from what I've heard, it's actually going to be documented for a television show. And I don't even know how much I can say about it, except that it's real to the person. It's a young man, 40-ish, and he was in an environment, a house that's pretty much known to be haunted. He was the caretaker there for a year, and it seems to have encroached upon him He feels he has a wicked attachment, which he well may, and he's requested an expulsion, which is a form of minor exorcism. It's just not with all the Latin intonations. No, it's not the Ritualis Romano, but it is an exorcism, form of exorcism. So, and that's going to be very real, and we don't know what results are going to be.
Mm-hmm. That'd be interesting to watch. Let me know when that happens. I'd like to watch that when its show airs. Anyway,
it's something my brother and I are corroborating on, or collaborating on. But somebody else is going to be involved as well, another colleague. So yeah, after it happens, I'll be able to tell you all about it.
Okay.
I still want to influence it or give away too much.
Oh,
Except it is a real
after
situation.
the show call, would you be willing to talk a little bit about it? Because there's something I'd like to discuss with you on that one.
I think it would be better if I talked about things I've already done, rather than something that's pending, because I don't know what the results of that'll be. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But like I've outlined, if somebody who was living in a haunted house, he feels he's picked up an attachment. It's bothering him. It's not going to just dissolve on its own.
It's a good teaser. You did a good teaser trail for it. Now, there you go. It's a little teaser of a teaser.
The fact that I can't talk too much about it is a teaser trail, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
But the subject, I say he's a younger fellow, but he's younger than I. Technically, he's middle-aged. So he's not a kid, but he feels he has an attachment. He requires intervention. Somebody has to step in and say, we're going to guide you in getting rid of it. Ultimately, it is the subject who pushes this presence out of himself, but him or herself. But we're going to guide him in doing that. I mean, there'll be prayer, prayer of faith. There'll be commanding the spirit to leave, asking for its name, like tell us who you are. How that'll come, we don't know. Like with that case in Oklahoma, commanded the spirit to name itself before it left it. And this is
that the red face guy? Is it the red face?
No, that's a different thing. That's a different one altogether. The house in Coventry, Rhode Island, was the red face demon, red face guy.
That was a very interesting story too behind that one.
Right.
It was very interesting.
Because I remember hearing about that.
But maybe
that was the one that happened this towards the end of this year. Will be 13 years since that happened.
Maybe you can talk about that one. You want to talk about that one? You want to hear that one, Jeremy?
Yeah, absolutely. Any story that I can get from Carl.
Thank you.
Viewers might be interested in that.
That was something that happened. It was 2008. A team named Four Seasons Paranormal consulted me because I'm a demonologist. They knew about me probably from television, and they got in touch with me. They wanted me specifically. I was then a member of my brother's team, New England Anomalies Research, but they wanted Carl. And it was the Marins who then, I can say that they're not living there anymore. The Marins who lived in Coventry. And they had all kinds of things happening in their house, which was interesting because the house had only been built in 2000. Let me think. I think it was around. No, it was actually. Let me go back further. It was like the house had been built in the 1990s, like 1996. So the house wasn't that old. I don't know how it accumulated so many memories. I think it was the people living there. The Marins had children. They had 7 children, and they were both from cultures that embrace a belief in spiritual as a spirit manifestation. The husband was father of the head of the household. He was Guatemalan, and his wife was from Portugal, from Cape Verde Islands. So, and they had this rather large family. They had a disturbance in their home, which was really bothering the lady of the house. And our first night over there, I saw a piece of crockery fly through the air and smash against the wall. It actually hit a post. And that same night, my chair with me in it went back across the room to the wall, just propelled there with me in the chair. The chair's moving with me in it. So something happened every time we were there. I was in the master bedroom once, and that seemed to be one that in the hallway were centers of activity, paranormal activity. I was holding a thermograph, a remote thermal gauge. Mm-hmm. I just happened to look to my right, and coming down the hallway was a knife, a kitchen knife. But it wasn't spiraling. It's not like somebody tossed it.
It was just like, or was it like just floating like that, or was it coming straight at you? Or
straight at me like this, kind of a little wave to it, like like that.
Well, that's messed up.
I mean, it wasn't spinning. It was coming towards me, and it hit the instrument that I was holding and clattered, dropped to the floor. It didn't hit my hand. Believe it or not, I found this all very flattering because for some reason the spirit was interested in me. Maybe the spirit felt threatened, thought I could drive it out. How I was going to do that, I don't know. But I seem to be recognized by the spirit world, maybe because of being a demonologist. But this knife came and hit the instrument I was holding. It happened so fast, I hardly had a chance to be startled. Then I thought about it. Whoa, this is all within a few seconds.
Right.
Another time, and Tina, the homeowner, I mean, the white lady of the house, she said, "Oh my God, that's not one of my knives." And another time we were in that master bedroom and standing around talking about the case. I didn't see it, but other people around me did. A piece of crockery, it was a cup, it just appeared over my head and smashed to the floor in front of me. I saw that. Looked like somebody tossed it. So I went down and I started picking. I don't react when those things happen. It's like everybody's, and one of the investigators, Nancy, she was there saying, "Oh my God, it came out of the wall. It came out of the wall. Did you see that? It just came out of the wall over his head." And so this crockery smashes in front of me. I knelt down and I start picking up the shards. And I said, can somebody get me a plastic bag? I want to save these. And I said to the lady of the house, I said, "Tina, these pieces of crockery, they're damp. What was a cup? They're damp and they're warm. What does that tell you? What is that?" I didn't know what that. And she picked it up. She said, "That came out of my dishwasher 2 rooms away."
Wow.
The other side of the house, and down the hallway, and then take a left and you'd be in the kitchen. That's where it came from.
From
the apportation, it disappeared.
2 rooms away.
Yeah, things like that became commonplace to the point where you were always on edge. You're waiting for the next smash. That's what's really scary because you don't know when it's going to strike. That's what put us on edge. I mean, it was fascinating, but when is that next crash going to happen?
Or when a knife's going
to come up against you?
Yeah, apparently it thought I was something. I would talk to it and say, "Stop now," and it wouldn't do things for the next half hour. I just thought it was better to use a gentle force with it. I would hold up my hand when things were smashing around and say, "Stop it," and it would stop. I don't know. I just sensed it would work. And I remember that Tina was going through a depression because of all these things that were happening in the house. And her husband called me up. He said, "Can you come over? She's in a bad way." So I came over to see them. And what I did, she used to watch a lot of ghost hunters. Mm. So this was only a couple of years after I was on the show. So I had my uniform that I used to wear on the television show and my black cap with taps embroidered on it. And I carried my ubiquitous briefcase, which is in every episode that I'm in. And I came over to see Tina. She's huddled up on the couch in all her depression. I came up and in Ghost Hunters, we used to say, "We're here to help." That was our slogan. So I knelt down next to her and I said, "I'm here to help." And she just cracked up and she looked me up and down and started laughing. So at least I gave her that good moment, And actually that was the night. So that was like my second time there. And that's the night when I was sitting in the chair and the chair moved back. Second time that's happened to me, where the chair moved back against the wall with me in it.
with you in it.
So it took me a while to realize that when I was in the house, I was the target. It wanted my attention. I don't know why. Perhaps it's because I spoke to it reasonably. And I would say, stop now. I wouldn't say, cast you out. Release this poor woman. From the snares of hell. I wouldn't get dramatic like that. I'd just say, stop it now. Like talking to a child. And the activity would cease for maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, like that. So it thought I was special for some reason. And another thing that happened uniquely me is we're sitting at the kitchen table. It's like a 6-foot oak table. We're discussing the case, Dawn and the parents of the children, and I'm there, and Father Bob Bailey, who was assisting us, a Roman Catholic priest, who was in on that case, assisting us. He was too scared to stick with it. He didn't stick around long, but I was sitting at that table, and I happened to look to my left, and standing there was a man that I'd never seen before, looking so solid that for a second, I didn't question it. I'm saying, who is this? But he was looking at me very intently, glaring at me, a very serious expression. He had some emotion to that look, just glaring at me. And then an instant later, he was gone. It's like when I focused on him, he was gone. Like I wasn't supposed to be able to see him, but I caught him looking at me. And that was probably the last time I saw a ghost that looked just like a living person. Wow. I thought it was a person at first.
A good solid laugh.
That would be pretty unsettling.
Yeah. Full body apparition.
Yep. That's what we had there. He just looked so solid, but it's like, like looking at a mountain in the distance. Sometimes you have to kind of play a trick with your eye. You have to look to the side to be able to perceive it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think my eyes did not have the capacity to see it. And I don't think the spirit expected me to catch him there looking at me. Maybe he was, and I couldn't see him before. I just happened to turn. There he is. And then an instant later, he's gone. Because it was a man.
By surprise.
A man with black hair about the length of mine. Wasn't, any kind of old-fashioned image. It just looked like a man standing there at the edge of the hallway, which was the center of pronounced activity. So I just don't react when those things happen. What I do is I know they're going to be very temporary, so I memorize them. Like I'm not dreaming, not hallucinating. What are the conditions here? I know I saw it. And then I said, by the way, that's why people don't believe me a lot when I say these things. I said, I just saw the man standing over there. I saw a man. Well, I guess they did believe me. They knew I wouldn't imagine that. I said, the man was standing over there. So fascinating case. But I will say, like real life, it wasn't like in the television shows where there's a disturbance. The paranormal investigators come in, evaluate, and either they save the people, drive the spirit out somehow, or the people the homeowners are driven out, can't live there anymore. That's what you find in these shows. And of course, they're based on true stories. But in real life, it's usually a more gradual process. Oh, the Marins that I'm speaking of, they were driven out of their house. But usually it's a day-to-day thing, and we weren't able to resolve anything there. All we had was some very intriguing experiences. We didn't save them from moving out. We advised them. They didn't take our advice much, but I say we, the investigative team. And persons back then, they found out that Carl was investigating a case and that there were things happening to Carl and happening to the family. So persons and paranormal groups heard about that. Word spreads quickly in these communities. Persons are looking for the next Amityville horror. And it wasn't that horrific things were transpiring in that house. It was just spooky things were. It was haunted. And it just went on day to day until finally the family couldn't take it anymore and they moved out. So there's no real resolution to that. I offered advice. Our team did. They didn't really take it. Like Tina's brother came over for Christmas that year, 2007, the late 2007. And her brother was saying, you say this house is haunted. You don't have anything going on here. And Tina's attitude was, oh, yeah, want to bet? So she started defying the spirit to do something. Well, they got some raps on the wall, but not much happened until after her brother and his family had left. Then crockery started flying around. In fact, there was a screwdriver that was wedged in a chandelier. Tony didn't know how, the guy who owned the house, he didn't know how it got there. It was kind of an almost impossible trajectory to toss it there. You'd need to balance a ladder on the steps, the stairwell to do that, to get anything up there. But that was a screwdriver wedged into the chandelier, the glass chandelier. So it was a magic house. For a while, we were guaranteed to have an experience if we went there. That was a big attraction. But all good things must end. And eventually lost touch with Tina and Tony. They moved away. But that night, that red face thing was photographed by Tony Marin. He called me at 2:30 in the morning. I heard a clamor. He said, listen, we got to get out of here. It's really hitting us bad. We got to get out of here. I said, Tony, do you want me to come over? It's going to take me at least a half an hour to be there. Yeah, we got to leave now. We got to leave now. I heard a crash. I heard his wife, Tina, scream. So I was on the phone with him when this happened. Now, what had happened was Tony had left his camera on a small table at the foot of the stairwell. He wanted his camera because he had some paranormal evidence on it, he felt. So they were headed out the door with the children. He was going to stay with her sister. So Tony had the presence of mind to realize his camera was still in there. He turned around, got out of the car, went back in to get his camera. When he went in, whatever it was, a figure was at the top of the stairs. He took the picture quickly and he got out of there. That's the picture we have of the red face thing, the red face demon. It may not have even looked like that to him at the time, but that's what came out in the photograph. He said he saw a man standing up there. But how it registered on the film was, in the picture, was that face. So that's it's very rare. And we can't say for sure what it was. But those are my two demon pictures, demon faces. Supposedly
there's some eerie freaking faces too. I mean, they are eerie.
That picture is just downright chilling, really.
It is, because it exudes malevolence. It's seething. You see it there. That's the one with the distended jaw, right?
Yeah.
Now, what person can do that? Like a snake, like a boa constrictor unhinging its jaw, and you got this tongue lolling out. You can actually see molars. And hi there, good to see you. That's Scotty you tell me about. Scotty can save the day sometimes.
Yeah, he's the man.
I don't know about that.
Oh, come on. Don't talk bad about
We've
Scotty.
had some things going kaflooey here during the broadcast.
Okay, so Carl, I want to ask you, has there been a case where things got so bad you guys actually had to leave the house?
I haven't, no. Everybody else did, but I didn't. There have been times like that, yeah, where there was a case in Danielson, Connecticut, where nobody wanted to go there. They called in Carl, and I went there. I didn't leave when things got hairy. I don't know, maybe I was foolish or something. It just occurred to me that if I left, the family who had sought our help, they wouldn't, they'd say, if these paranormal people, the experts, hey, can you be an expert? If these experts are leaving, what's going to become of us? We can't handle this. So I stayed with them.
I tell you what, I would have to leave. I mean, especially like the house with the red face in it. I wouldn't want to leave, but I would have to leave. Because I tell you,
I felt very scared in that house sometimes. I felt very uneasy because it's that element of the unexpected. You're almost guaranteed something will happen. You just don't know when. So that was the scary factor.
It was it would be because of the soiled underwear. I mean, that would be the only reason why I would have to leave. I mean, I could go in there with some Depends. I'll bring some Depends, maybe.
Yeah, you say, I feel a change coming on.
Yeah, I feel a change coming on.
I need a change. I feel a change coming on.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I first saw
the
picture of the red face, it made me think of I don't know if it's called the Red Baron, the villain in Captain America.
The Red Skull.
Red Skull, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that popped into mind when I saw that.
Comparison, yeah, when you think about it. Good comparison.
Yeah, but he was more, the Red Skull character was more skullish. This was, you could see this was, it looked like a human being. And you could see how the chin, I mean, it just dropped. Like
it looked like a distorted human being.
Right. It's just like it jawed you.
If the face was made of a malleable substance, the skull could be manipulated, and you pulled it and distorted it.
Yeah.
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 It's got shriveled nostril, a shriveled nose, flaring out. Has a lot of disturbing features. Probably the worst thing on it is the eyes, because they're reptilian.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he's got slants for pupils. It's just, I don't have it in front of me, but it gives me the chills to think about it. Because I know it was real.
I wish I was on my laptop so that I could be able to show this thing and everybody else.
We're going to convene again. We're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely going to want you on the next season of 13th Dimension, and hopefully it won't be chaotic like it got tonight.
Well, we'll be past the storms then, right? We don't know, but
that's crazy night.
That'd be awfully coincidental. You know what my biggest tool is in paranormal investigation? It's not faith. It's not the wooden cross. It's not the materials I carry in my briefcase. It is humor. It's my sense of humor. Because I can get people laughing in this grim situation. Here comes the paranormal team. They brought in a demonologist, you know? Ooh. And I can sit down and get people laughing. And, you know, there's something about that. It's a tension reliever. It's like things really ain't so bad that we can't handle it.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. When I was at Taliesin was the subject. She was being, it was actually turned into an episode of The Haunted, not A Haunting, but The Haunted. And that was that case where we went out into the terrific windstorm and saw those strange things hanging in the tree. Taliesin was dreading me coming there. Somehow, even when I was first on the phone with her mother, she didn't tell Taliesin, her name is. She didn't tell Taliesin who she was speaking to, but Taliesin started to say, "That's the chastiser. You're talking to the chastiser." Which is me. I mean, you know, that's I don't know where she got that from. There was all kinds of tension surrounding this. The producers of the show said, the producer I was most in contact with, he said, Carl, she knows you're coming. We're all a little on edge about this. We don't know how she's going to react when she sees you. Just please be prepared, because you've been through things like this before. But I said, every case is different. He said, exactly. Just we're all a little nervous about how she's going to react when she sees you. So naturally, that made me apprehensive. This was in Edmond, Oklahoma in 2010, September 2010. We arrived, and I came in. I was dressed in black because that's just a slimming tone. And we sat around. They were a musical family, too. And I talked to the father there. I sat down with the table. Now, Taliesin, if you ever saw a picture of it, Taliesin just naturally has very intense eyes. Mm-hmm. Bore right into you. You remember Reagan in The Exorcist?
Oh,
Picture that?
Yeah.
Remember before she underwent her horrific change? Remember when she was starting to look like the real malevolent? Right. That's what was looking at me. We sat down at the kitchen table. Everybody's kind of tense, especially what's that, Scotty?
No, I was like, nope. I'd be like, you know what? God bless you. See you later. Bye-bye. Throw a little bit of holy water. I'm leaving. Like, see you later. I hope that burns. Yep, that's me.
Yeah. Even in The Exorcist, where the psychotherapist is hypnotizing Reagan.
Yeah.
You know, they're wit's end. They don't know what's the matter with this 12-year-old girl, Reagan Teresa McNeil. And so he's saying, I am speaking to the person inside of Reagan. If you are there, you too are hypnotized and must answer all my questions. Who are you? And all of a sudden it changes. Doesn't you hear this growl, and Reagan is like, she's growling like a lion. And apparently her breath is foul because people are backing up and covering their noses.
Right, right.
And he says, come forward now. And Reagan, she's sitting there and she looks up at him like that. That was Taliesin looking at me. That was Taliesin glaring at me, not blinking.
Scotty, what's the matter, brother? You couldn't handle that?
It gets better.
No.
No. Well, her father had like bangs and, like straight hair, like down here. He's a rock musician from way back. And so, Taliesin, one thing I said was, I just like sitting down to dinner with Neil Young. I haven't had that experience before. But before that,
his chicken nuggets.
Looks like Scott Wilson possessing someone who only wants his chicken nuggets.
I would too.
That's that chicken nuggets look, yeah.
Scotty is famous for his chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Somebody stealing Scotty's chicken nuggets. Can you imagine that look?
Yeah. Before I made that joke about it, I said, it's so nice to sit down and break bread with Neil Young here. They all really look like Neil Young. Yeah. And so Taliesin is she's the only one not talking while we're sitting there. She's glaring at me. And then she finally spoke. She said, are you a priest? And without skipping a beat, I said, no, I just play one on TV.
There you go.
and everybody, well, she didn't, but everybody else cracked up. And it's just, that is a tool. If you can say, hey, it's paranormal, it's strange, don't take it that seriously. I'm here to help you. Just to do that, to break the tension, was something. I'm glad I can do that. There's more the way I said it. No, I just play it on TV. Taliesin and I became very friendly. And by the time, after the investigation, which was successful, it was a horrendous situation driving that spirit from her, because there was a very dramatic moment that was too intense to put on the television episode. We revealed the source of her trauma, how this all started, and it just came out in one explosive scene, one incident. And she became violent and angry as this tension just poured from her. We found out what happened to her, what incited that trauma. Now, I don't know where I get these, agates of steel at times. I guess because nobody else will do it. Even the producer of the show, he backed up. He stopped filming and he backed up. I went up to Taliesin and I said, I put my hand on her face. I said, all right, it's okay. We're getting to the core of this. And I remember it was a couple of weeks later, we were doing the interviews for the television show. They had to spend some hours interviewing everybody, which is kind of a horrendous process in itself in these television shows. They're asking me to say the same things over and over and over again about my experiences. I've been in the chair for 4.5 hours, and I feel like I don't know if I'm under arrest or what. These producers are. I say, am I free to go? No, not yet. Like, they really, and yet, they do good with the editing. They use the most relevant, clips. But it's a process. But Taliesin was all nervous about her interview, and I said, you know what? They had them singing. They're a musical family. I had them singing at the end. I said, you're probably going to become very popular after this. What she did, you're going to become popular after this episode. She was like, my hands are wet. I'm nervous. I said, you will feel like you're interrogated. You will be interrogated, but just you're probably going to get requests for your band, your family to play places. Yeah. Once this episode airs. So it all turned out good. That was a success story. They're not always. The Marins were not a success story. Even some of those television episodes, what happened afterwards was not good. But sometimes you go away with a very good feeling from it. Feel like I did something right just by being there.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's all it takes, just by being there.
Just by being there. And I guess I exude an atmosphere, like I look as though I'm in control. I may feel kind of like jelly inside, but I just, somebody's got to help them. Somebody's got to act like they're in control.
Right.
And then that confidence I've been feigning becomes real. But I don't know why the spirits seem to have been interested in me. I don't know what it is. It's on some level, it's a mental thing, you know. Might even have to do with quantum mechanics, but I just seem able to, in some instances, quell the spirit. I talk to the spirit. We were on a case in Brooklyn, New York, going back to 2003. This was a year before the television show, Ghost Hunters. But I was a member of TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. We had a case in Brooklyn, New York, a 3-story brownstone. It was a horrific haunting. As we got to know these people, the family, eventually I told the homeowner, I said, you know, the paranormal isn't your problem. It's a symptom of the distress and the chaos that has been in your family for maybe 3 generations, you know, since your grandfather. I mean, the paranormal is how this house is screaming to you, but that's not what started it. You know, because it's projection. People feel, oh, get rid of this ghost or get rid of this influence and we'll be normal. You weren't normal before. You weren't functional before. But one of our members, Mr. Brian Hanwar, was a member of the Atlantic Paranormal Society for some years. My brother and I were members of TAPS for 8 years, in fact. So Brian tried his strategy because who was really being bothered by this was the 14-year-old daughter, adolescent. So Brian, you know, without divulging names, except, you know, my friend Brian went upstairs and started yelling at the spirit, yelling at the demon. He's saying things like, oh, you take on a little girl, why don't you try me? You know, Brian, don't do that, you know. He's yelling, screaming at the air. You know? So Brian came out of the room, the upstairs bedroom, and I went into the room after him, and I actually said to the air, I said, I must apologize for my young friend. He's excitable, you know. I don't know who I was talking to, but I said, I'm sorry for him. We went downstairs for dinner. Now, we're recording all the time, and while we're recording, that's when we get the best EVP, incidental EVP, when it just comes out while we're talking. So we're conversing, and Brian's talking about his take, and he was saying, oh, I don't care, you know, like this demon may be 1,000,000 years old, but I stand up to it, you know. And when we're playing back the audio, it was my brother recording, I start to hear this. I said, the song, wait a minute, there it is. There's an extraneous voice. You got something. We got something here. And so we're listening to, my brother and I are listening to the recording, and Brian's talking about his experience. And this voice starts going, yeah. F you, man. That's what the spirit said. He said, F you, man. And Brian continues talking. We didn't hear it at the time. This is in the recording, the playback. And then the voice made a funny noise. It went, like it was mocking us. And I said, this demon or whatever is pretty cool. It has its own kind of cool. So I said, let's call it Wise Guy. That's what we did. We called the spirit Wise Guy. It's interactive.
Right.
It's got personality.
A spirit with personality and a sense of humor. Sorry, when I get excited like this, my voice turns into Don Knotts sometimes, you know. Oh, terrible. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe it all. No, it was there. It was there. Yeah. But think of this thing, this entity with a sense of humor. I don't know what they are. I have theories. I have ideas. But most of my demonologist colleagues do not concur with me. I mean, Howard might. I think they are interpreted through our minds. Mm-hmm. They're real. I'm not saying they're imaginary illusions. They're projected. Think of projecting through a lens, and they come through us, and that's how they manifest. But to think of this thing with a sense of humor, I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. You know, how can a demon have a sense of humor? How can it listen to everything we're saying and comment as if it was sitting at the table with us? And I guess it was. And I don't feel them so dreadful or evil when I hear things like that. I said, they're just the spirit, and it's happened before and since. Spirit is sitting around with us, being part of the conversation. Isn't that marvelous that something can do that?
Yeah.
And yet some people don't believe in ghosts. This universe is fantastic. We understand our little sector of it somewhat. But if you concur with what astrophysicists tell us now, that you can go back and look at how far light is projected. So according to that, this universe, meaning everything, universe, and there may be other universes, this universe is about 13 billion years old. And that's as far as light travels as we can see the distant stars and systems. Our Milky Way galaxy possibly has around 100, very general figure, 150 billion stars. Many or most of those stars have planetary systems. And up until the early 1930s, it was thought that the Milky Way was the only galaxy. And we find out we're one of billions and billions of galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be much intelligent life out there. Probably don't look like us, and we'll probably never hear from them, but there's other life out there.
Yeah.
And some of it has been around. Yeah, some of it has been around for a long, long time. And there might even be other universes. And eventually, all of this will burn out. It'll lose its momentum, lose its gravitation, until finally, even the particles and atoms disappear and become cold ash. And then time ceases to exist. If there's no relevant matter, like relativity, then there's no time. They're all interdependent. Matter, the velocity of matter, time. Now you think of these great mysteries. Even a close-by mystery. Was there life on Mars 3.5 billion years ago? Quite possibly. Life was originating on that other planet in our solar system. Mighty rivers ran on Mars. There was an ocean on Mars. On the planet Mars, there are still thunderstorms. There's a sunrise and a sunset always going on Mars. There are polar caps. I mean, this was like a mini Earth for a while. You think of things like that, and we're the only species we know of that can contemplate our origins and our destiny. We know we started somehow. We know we're going to end. We can think that. We alone can do that. Mm-hmm. And to think of these profound mysteries, and yet some people don't believe in ghosts. I'm not saying you have to believe in ghosts to be a rational person, but that seems like a pretty small mystery compared to what's going on all around us.
Yeah.
How did we get here? It is impossible by logic. I'm speaking apart from faith, religious belief. It is impossible that we are here because something cannot proceed from nothing. Something started us. That's not possible by any human reasoning. Yet here we are to talk about it.
Yep.
I don't think it's so much of a stretch to believe in ghosts, in demons, in these spirit things, which we know are around us as paranormal investigators. I don't need any more convincing that there are ghosts. I've captured enough voices on recordings, had enough pictures that I know there's something to it. Don't know just what they are, but look at us. Here we are to talk about it. There's something. This is a strange and a very wonderful world we live in. It's uncanny.
What's going to come? I personally have had enough experiences that I believe that there is something out there. I believe that for everything that people question the existence of, if you can think it, it's possible that it exists.
That's right. If your mind can comprehend it, there's a possibility. There's a variable that could be. I won't even think of billions. In 300 million years, are we going to be like Mars?
That's a strong possibility.
Mm-hmm. Venus, because of it, you got the inner planets. Mercury is this hot on one side, cold on the other ball of rock going around the sun in close proximity. Then you've got this wonderful Venus, which is close to the size of planet Earth. Venus is us 4 billion years ago. Here we have the life-giving planet, Earth, Terra. Then you get Mars, perhaps our future. When the atmosphere thins, when all life is destroyed by radiation, and the atmosphere becomes too thin to support life, like Mars has an atmosphere, but it's only 1/100th the density of Earth's. So you got yester Earth in Venus, even though we're about the same age. Earth, fecundity, life, giving, the big garden. Then you've got Mars, a smaller planet, an arid desert that used to have running water, used to have gushing rivers, you know. Then you got another enigma in our little solar system. You got the asteroid belt that looks like a failed planet. Was that a planet that just got pulled apart by the competitive gravities of Jupiter and Mars? Something ripped it apart. I think it's just marvelous to look at our own backyard of a solar system.
I think it's from the gravitational pull of Jupiter and the Sun, to be honest. The asteroid belt, not Mars. But I think
that would make, because Mars doesn't have much of a gravity considering, size. So you've got, what you're saying, Jeremy, is this elastic, like a rubber band effect. You've got this between Sol, our sun, and the Titanic Jupiter, the big gas giant, and it's ripped apart this world.
Yeah.
If you could go, I'd love to have that time machine. I don't have a time. I tried to invent a time machine when I was much younger. It didn't work. I don't think it did.
I don't know about that, Carl. I said, I don't know about that, Carl, but right now you got people in this chat room. Every time they're playing, I'm waiting to see how many of them are actually sober right now. Because ever since we started, they're playing a drinking game, and every time Jeremy's screen goes out, they take a drink.
Oh.
Is that what that came from?
I did that. Boy, are we talking
I was wondering
now.
where that came from.
I did that with a movie. The first movie I did that with was Gunfight at OK Corral, 1957. Burt Lancaster, Joanne Fleet, Kirk Douglas, John Ireland. It was a goofy movie. It wasn't new when we started watching it by any means, but my brother and I were watching that one night back in, it was like 1990. And I had a little challenge for my brother. I said, I'm going to bring over the whiskey. Every time Doc Holliday takes a drink, Kirk Douglas's character, we have to have a shot too. That was fun. We're like, there he goes again. And there's one point when John Ireland, who plays Ringo, he throws a drink in Doc Holliday's face, trying to antagonize him. So I said to him, oh, Keith, you win this one. I don't know how you can keep it going. And my brother, he poured a drink and he threw it in his own face, because that was the scene. And then, of course, there was Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner and Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
I said, we can't have a drinking contest of this. We'd be barfing. Drinking every minute, Doc Holliday is.
And if you really be screwed up if you had a CD, a DVD, and it just kept skipping back.
I really wish right now you guys could hear what I'm hearing, because every now and then that all the voices get so staticky. It's like you're listening to a robot.
Oh, wow. It's its own transcendental experience.
And then it works its way out of it.
Wow, it repairs itself.
It does. Imagine. It's really weird, and you guys aren't hearing it, but I hear this, and it's just weird. But again, this is the first time I'm doing StreamYard. Well, no, I'm sorry. This is the second time I'm doing StreamYard on my phone.
It's basically working. We're having a grand conversation here. That's what this show is great, because we're conversing. I'm not lecturing, we're sharing experiences.
Yeah.
And it's working as a show.
Jenny has a question. She says, her question is, how can people who are so religious and say so much things as spirits, say things about, people who are religious say there are no such things as spirits, like ghosts and things like that. But there are spirits that go to heaven or hell. And so, that's a big that's something I'd like to ask myself. But you got like the Catholic religion. They believe in your spirit going to heaven, hell, purgatory, whatever.
Right.
But they don't believe in the ghost. It's just like spirits.
But they don't believe in the disembodied spirits, the ghost.
Right, the ghost.
Believe in the Holy Ghost, but not people ghost.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's at least that ties everything up in a neat package, and it makes things more understandable. But it's a very rigid concept. It's to each their own. Yeah, but it's funny how that faith does not allow for ghosts. They must be demonic if there are manifestations.
They better drink again.
Yeah,
maybe they'll loosen up a little bit if they have.
Something happened to me again.
If they can't, they'll be all messed up by now.
Earl's going to be drunk.
I am so sorry to everybody out there. I don't mean to get you all drunk.
Are you inciting this? Have you influenced it?
He said, "Get out your favorite drink now." Again,
Yeah.
he didn't finish that bottle off. Now he's starting another one.
I do want to go to that question about the religious people not believing in spirits. There's a buddy of mine at work. He and I have had this conversation many times, and he used to be a pastor as well. I forget what I want to say. He's Baptist. But he has told me numerous times that he doesn't believe spirits as how we believe. Any spirit that we come across, he thinks are actually demons coming across as spirits.
Yes, I've heard that supposition. To me, it doesn't make any sense, but we're talking about what's essentially impossible by our reasoning anyway.
Yeah.
It's the unknown. I don't see any reason why. What are the demons getting from it if they deceive us and make us think they're living people? Is that supposed to off track us? I don't know.
They might be getting their kicks from it. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, maybe just playing with us, but it does.
Right.
Spirits have been experienced since recorded history, and I'm sure before then. It just doesn't seem like there would be any guessable reason why why demons would perpetrate this illusion that they are living people. I mean, why? What's it going to do? People are going to believe in an afterlife anyway. People are going to always have their own interpretations of that afterlife. It just doesn't seem like a demonic presence would ensnare us that way and gain anything by it. I could be wrong because I don't know. Short of the other side, what do we know? I just never believed that they're hoaxing us. To what? Yeah. Wouldn't they be hoaxing us in other ways too? But this thing that we just see ghosts and everything, because not all ghosts are perceived of as evil, and sometimes they're relatives, sometimes
I guess it's your religion. I mean, that's what you believe in. I mean, it's just like that old joke. They got the Northern Baptists and the Southern Baptists, where they're saying the Northern Baptist says there is no such thing as hell. And the Southern Baptist will say the hell there ain't. I mean, that's two different things.
Well, we're going to have one more question for you, Carl. Jenny is going to ask a question here, and then we're going to have to wrap up the show because we're way past our time.
We love
it. So Jenny, if he can ask you a question, we'll get Carl to answer it for you.
Please do. All that. And I have on my phone, I have somebody was just asking, if we're done or nearly, and I said nearly done. I said 10 more minutes, and that was
30 minutes ago. Yeah.
Well, that was Elise was asking.
Oh.
So apparently she's not able to follow the show tonight, or maybe she is, and she just wondered when we were going to be done. I don't know. I'll ask her afterwards if she was able to hear our show.
Yeah, so far Jenny has not asked her question yet.
There it is.
Here it is. I'm going to put it up on the screen for all to see it.
It says, when religious people say no paranormal is not real and it's ghosts, and yet to be, and many para people see and feel it as yes, you can feel it. Jesus.
I'm trying to understand just what she's asking here.
I'm trying to understand it too.
Yeah, when religious people say no paranormal, it's not real, and it's ghosts, and yet to be, and many parent people see it, feel it, and yes, we can't feel Jesus. And I think she means, and yet we can't feel Jesus.
Yes. That's what I'm taking it as.
That
To
seems
me,
to be, yeah.
it's two different levels. It's two different worlds. You can debate about the ghosts and where they come from.
She said she'll break it down.
Jesus is not just another ghost. That's when you call upon help. You know, you say, Jesus, I surrender it to you. And that's more powerful than the ghosts. My religion, my faith is I am a Christian with questions.
There you go.
I cannot help. It's the way I'm cast. It's my substance. I cannot help but question everything.
Yep.
I'm inquisitive. I wish I could have my brother's faith, which is more even. But I'm the rebel. I'm the evil twin. I'm the one who asks and has to stir up the dust. I don't know which way is better, but it's a whole different realm when you say Jesus. You know, it's like, all right, you know, we're not equivocating. You know, I don't have to fear these things because Jesus is with me. That has to be effective. That doesn't mean things are going to stop flying around your house every time you say that, but well, they should for a while, you know, or if things still are breaking or something's moving or a chair is moving across the floor, say a prayer, invoke the holy name of Jesus, and it'll stop.
Then again, it might not even be a soul.
Right.
It might be something.
Then there's that other way of reasoning, and Elise could talk about this because Elise is a student of parapsychology. Why does it have to be some evil presence that's moving that chair across the floor? And the chairs do move sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it flinging a glass around? Why does that have to be a demon? How about the mind creates it and we interpret it as an outside agent, as something, you know, it's a poltergeist that the mind is, in essence, created. It's going to act autonomously. It's going to behave independently. And our minds are creating, and it's very convincing as something outside of ourselves.
Like telekinetic?
Yep, telekinesis, yeah, telekinetic. PK, we call that for short, activity. I think this force is filtered through our minds. And we can say Jesus, and it's very powerful. That can quell activity. And when you see something, like I've witnessed that so many times, I wish I'd seen more of it. When you see poltergeist activity, when you actually see, I'll use an example, a dinner plate lift up. And that's an eerie thing to see. It's one thing for it to fly off the table. It's another thing to see it lift up and move. That'll shiver your timbers every time. You hear a glass breaking and all that. It's hard to be straight and rational and say, I know that's a thing of the mind, but I do. I think our minds create this, not imagining it, but this PK activity, this energy exists on a certain level. It's filtered through our minds. Our subconscious generate it or interpret it. And then you've got your ghost or you got your poltergeist. Poltergeist is I think it's the most fascinating avenue of paranormal research, is to research, and it branches into demonology, is to try to analyze the poltergeist. To see one in action is absolutely amazing. You see you see things moving, PK activity. I generalize and say poltergeist. You see things moving about and you say, now I know why I do this. Now I know why I'm interested. There's something more than meets the eye. You know, it's wonderful to see. I don't think it's a very placid thing or a holy thing or anything. There's nothing peaceful about the poltergeist. Just downright fascinating. Here's a ghost in action. Here's a ghost that's reacting to us, cares what we think, wants our attention. Poltergeists even have voices sometimes. Yeah. I just wish I could go to a place where I knew there'd be, well, the Marin's house was like that, where I knew there'd be poltergeist activity. I knew something's going to happen. You know, if I ever find that again, I'm going to be there with my camera and my, you know, and no matter how well you document phenomena, people are going to disbelieve it and say, oh yeah, anybody could have done that, you know. But for your own satisfaction, if you know it's real, you've achieved something there. You've made progress. By the way, any message for Elise from anybody? We wish you'd been with us.
We miss you. Yeah, I miss seeing her. I do. I really do.
There are two M&Ms left.
I had M&M's the last time she was supposed to be on, and she didn't come on. I mean, I was ready for her.
Well, maybe if we don't bring the M&Ms, she'll show up and she'll just have to be without.
Well, time you brought the M&Ms and I didn't. So she did not show up again.
Well,
man,
it's like talking about poltergeist.
Put the little M&Ms down in a trail like they did.
Well, even though I'm here and I'm a member of
on this show at one point or another.
Yeah, I'm a member of the board of trustees, but this is essentially Elise's office. Well, it's our office, but that's her sector over here. She's president of the JHS, so I'm in her territory right now. So Elise should be here. Elise Howard knows she translates very well to screen. Very personable. And
yes.
Never stuck for an answer.
Very beautiful lady.
She's a beautiful lady, and she's the real deal.
Yep.
No pretenses about her. And
she can fight.
Mm-hmm. You know about this? She's the double black belt.
Yep. Oh. She can fight. Oh.
She's double black. Yes, she is. She's proven herself in tournaments and sparring. She probably wouldn't appreciate it if I told her stories, and that would add another 15 minutes onto her show. But yeah.
Does she have still dealing with the Conjuring House still, the little round?
Yes, Elise does actually. We will be there tomorrow. We're going to this house, the house on Round Top Hill, the farm on Round Top. We are friends with the owners, and by gum, I won't be surprised if we hear footsteps and banging around, because that's commonplace there. I did the last time I was there. Yes, Elise and I are friends with Corey and Jen Hines, who own the house on Round Top in Harrisville, Rhode Island. We will be there tomorrow. May even have a story to tell you next time we convene.
Very awesome.
So Elise has done immense research on this house. My brother has done a lot of research. The more we learn, the more we find out that this legend about the house, it doesn't have a horrifying history. It's the movie. People want it to be. That wasn't, I'm sure strange things happened there, but there wasn't Cthulhu stuff going on that anybody recorded or documented until the Perrins moved in. And they had strange stuff going on in their house in Cumberland, Rhode Island. I think it was the combination of having a mother with 5 daughters, being left alone because their husband was on the road with the jewelry business. And, I think a lot of it had to do with who they were and brought it in. Again, the reality generated.
Earl says last drink again. He's seen it. It's too late. You can't deny it. The screen went out.
Yeah,
he said last drink.
I can pretend, but all I've got is the 2 M&Ms left. Yeah.
Okay, well, Carl, I'll tell you what. It's been wonderful having you on this show.
It's been my pleasure. I don't know why with this show, it's like a telephone, just like a conference call. I just start chatting and talking.
Yeah,
because
it's great. And I know you got many more stories that you can tell. So we definitely want to get you back on next season.
Please do. I've got so many experiences to share. See, I'm getting like an old person, and I want to talk about my stories and and listen to other people.
You're getting old, huh? You're getting old on me.
I am. I'm getting crusty.
And Howard, thank you for being on the show as well.
Yeah.
And
it's
Scotty,
just fun to talk.
Glad to have you hop on when you were able to.
Yeah, I find that if it's something that interests me, it's probably going to interest my listeners,
Yes.
Because we're all on the same page with this,
That's right.
I love hearing what you share with me. Yeah.
What other shows can you go on? My shows. I'm bringing some on my shows if you want to come back on. But
I do want to come on yours too, Howard. Of course I do. And the 13th dimension, we have talked about space aliens. We've talked about the planet Mars.
Yeah.
We've talked about scary haunted things. We've talked about television, I mean,
it's not just the paranormal that we talk about.
We're running the gamut here.
Yeah, we do.
I give you a prime example. Yesterday we was interviewing someone. It was Eileen, and we were talking about this lady by the name of Miss Eileen, and she's a paranormal investigator. And we started off talking about her, and we wound up in almost 3/4 of the way. We got to the point where we were talking about Barney the dinosaur.
We did.
That's a big jump.
We did. We did.
I'll tell you,
Ow.
get me to when we segue, when we have another half hour time or some extra, let me segue into the chimpanzees. I'll talk about, the genus Pan troglodyte. That's what they're called. I'll start talking about those chimps and Jane Goodall's work and all that. And somehow I'll tie that into the paranormal. I'll find a way.
I challenge you to do that the next time you're on this show.
Absolutely.
I'll give you a little. I'll give you a little preview. How come the chimpanzees don't have ghosts? They got an intellect that they're not too far from us. Never heard of a chimpanzee ghost, or do they? Do they dream of their departed? Do they? I know they miss the ones that they've lost.
What if they are chimpanzee ghosts and they just can't communicate? Hey, I see this freaking ghost chimp next to me, and look what this thing's doing to me.
And all they can do is. You can't tell Jane Goodall. I just saw my deceased cousin. Maybe only a chimpanzee can see a chimpanzee ghost.
That's right. A gorilla ghost can see a gorilla ghost.
Gorilla ghost.
They call it gorilla glue. There you go, Nick. Gorilla glue.
You become gorilla glue. But I'll tell you, not that they were chimpanzee. Neanderthals, Homo neanderthalensis. Neanderthals were from what we know, we don't know, but what we surmise, the first people to believe in an afterlife and bury their dead with relics and bury their dead at all. Seemed to start with the Neanderthals or some species close to Neanderthals.
Poor Earl done ran out of drinks. He says, "Oh man, I ran out of drinks."
What does that mean? Our show is done for the night.
The last one.
Yeah, so I must be fizzing out again. So anyway, on that note, next week we are doing two very special episodes. First one on the Pitre edition, and the second one on this show. We are doing a 2-night crossover episode on our adventures at Waverly Hills from last month.
Wow.
Yeah, we had close over 30 people, and we're going to have most of them split up between the two shows talking about their experiences and evidence that they caught.
Awesome.
So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Wow.
So
I want to see
it. So Carl, Howard, thank you guys for being on this show. Scotty.
My pleasure, his pleasure, I'm sure.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, especially with Carl.
Yes, it is.
And I'm in this splendid setting here. These are all our paranormal files here, and cases over there, cases pending. Here, cases we've conducted in the past, researching.
Oh, wow.
Actually, there are documents 150. Some of these documents are 200 years old and better.
Wow.
240 years old.
That would be awesome to go through. It would be.
It is at times. That's something to take up with Miss Elise.
Yep. She ain't
hopefully we can get her on this show next time.
We'll manage. I'll make a point of it.
Yeah.
I'll say they're not going to take no for an answer next time.
And also would like to get your brother on the show as well, too.
Okay. Yeah, my brother's due for an appearance. We'll get some interesting guests.
Yeah,
we'll get them all on here. We get them all on here. Heck, we do it all.
That'd be awesome. I'm game for that.
That's kind of a fantasy of mine to have me sit in the chair here and then have Elise come on and then my brother Keith and relay like that. It makes it more fun. I never run out of things to say, but it's just, let's hear what these guys have to say too. And,
yeah.
And we're just so dang funny together.
We'll set something up like that, Carl. We'll do that really soon. How's that? We'll do that really soon.
Let's do that. That'd be awesome.
That can be a summer show.
Yeah.
Yep. So really meanwhile, until next week, thank you to everybody who tuned in for us and for putting up with my mishaps today. Mm-hmm. So,
are you speaking to the ones that can't actually comprehend what you're saying now because they're that intoxicated?
Right? Yeah.
I like the mishaps.
Yeah. All right. So, if it's paranormal or beyond,
we got it covered.
We do. We'll see you guys all next week.
Okay. Have a good night.
Yeah, Elise says, don't let him keep you on for another hour. Lol. She knows us.
Yeah.